Right now, a farmer in rural France is driving a diesel pickup truck that gets 55 miles per gallon. He paid the equivalent of $22,000 for it. It has a manual transmission, a simple turbo diesel engine with no diesel exhaust fluid system, no particulate filter, and no $8,000 emissions computer that bricks the truck every 80,000 miles. He will drive that truck for 400,000 miles and spend almost nothing on maintenance. You cannot buy that truck. You are not allowed to. The EPA banned it. The chicken tax made it impossible to import affordably. And the diesel engine lobbyists who profit from complex, failure-prone American emission systems spent 20 years making sure it stays that way. This is the story of how clean, simple diesel technology was deliberately locked out of the American market, and who got rich making sure it never came back. Let's start with what they took from you. In the 1980s, diesel engines began appearing in American passenger vehicles. The Volkswagen Rabbit diesel got 50 miles per gallon. The Mercedes 240d was known for running past 500,000 miles on basic maintenance. Farmers and tradesmen were buying diesel pickups and putting 300,000 miles on them without touching the engine. The fuel cost less than gasoline. The engines lasted longer. The total cost of ownership was dramatically lower. Detroit noticed, and Washington noticed, and they worked together to make sure it didn't last. The first tool was emissions regulation. This sounds reasonable on its face. Clean air standards are legitimate policy. But here is what happened in practice. Instead of mandating simple, achievable outcomes, the EPA designed emission standards in the 1990s and 2000s that specifically targeted the small, simple diesel designs that were affordable to produce. The standards were calibrated to be achievable only with expensive add-on systems, diesel particulate filters, exhaust gas recirculation valves, and by the 2010 model year, diesel exhaust fluid injection systems that require a separate tank, a separate pump, and a separate computer module that the truck literally cannot run without. A 2024 diesel pickup that fails its DEF system will not start. Not because the engine is broken, because the emissions computer refuses to authorize combustion until you pay the dealership to reset it. The result is an engine that was once the most reliable, longest-lasting powertrain ever put into a light truck, has been transformed into a maintenance nightmare, with a $4,000 repair waiting behind every sensor. Meanwhile, European engineers developed a class of small turbodiesels that meet European emission standards through better combustion engineering, rather than expensive bolt-on systems. These engines, made by Volkswagen, Peugeot, Ford Europe, and Toyota, return 50 to 60 miles per gallon in compact trucks and vans. They cost less to build. They require less maintenance. They are sold across Europe, Australia, and Southeast Asia for prices that would undercut the American truck market at every tier. They have never been sold new in America. The 25% chicken tax, the same one we covered in a previous video, closes the door on direct imports. But there is a second wall that most people never hear about. It is called the Tier 3 and Heavy Duty National Program, and it requires that any diesel engine sold in a new American vehicle meet standards that are technically incompatible with the low-cost European small diesel architecture. The compliance cost to certify one of these engines for the American market runs into the hundreds of millions of dollars. Toyota is not going to spend that money to sell a $22,000 truck that would embarrass every product on an American lot. So they don't. And the American consumer never knew the option existed. Here is the part that should make you furious. Ford sells a transit van in Europe with a 2.0-liter diesel engine that gets 47 miles per gallon. That same Ford Transit sold in the United States has a gasoline engine that gets 19 miles per gallon. It is the same company, the same van, the same factory. They made a business decision that the American market would not receive the efficient engine because the regulatory cost of compliance and the political cost of undercutting their own high-margin truck lineup made it irrational to do so. You are driving a 19 mile per gallon van and paying $4 a gallon because Ford looked at the regulatory environment Washington built and decided that was the correct financial outcome. The diesel they actually make, the one that would cost you half as much in fuel over its lifetime, is sitting in a transit on a London street right now. There is one way to access this technology legally, and it is the same door that exists for the Hilux and the 70 series, the 25-year import rule. Pre-emission mandate diesel trucks from the late 1990s are beginning to qualify. A 1999 Volkswagen TDI truck, never sold in the United States, can now be imported legally. Clean 1990s Land Rover Defenders with small diesel engines are commanding $40,000 and $50,000 at auction because buyers understand they are paying for something they were never supposed to have access to. The market always finds the truth eventually. And the truth is that Americans have been paying a fuel tax and a reliability tax for 30 years because simple, efficient diesel technology was regulated out of existence before it could compete. The full picture is this. The small diesel was killed by a combination of emission standards engineered to require expensive compliance systems, a 25% import tariff that made foreign competition impossible, and a domestic truck industry that had no financial incentive to offer you a cheaper, more efficient alternative once those protections were in place. Every dollar you have spent on gasoline above what a 50 mile per gallon diesel would have cost you is the direct result of that policy architecture. The question worth sitting with is this. If a Ford Transit with the European diesel engine was sold at an American dealership tomorrow, rated at 47 miles per gallon, for $5,000 less than the gasoline version, how long would it take to recoup the difference at the pump? Run the numbers in the comments. The math is not complicated. What is complicated is why no one in Washington has ever asked that question out loud. If this made you rethink what you are actually paying for every time you fill the tank, the video on screen right now covers the DEF delete controversy, the states where it is still legal, and the model years where the factory emission system is most likely to strand you on the side of the road. Watch it before you buy any diesel built after 2010. Subscribe to Truck Guide. We cover what the dealership doesn't want you to calculate.